Castiel's trusted lieutenant, yes. And we're sort of opening up that story a little bit. There's more of Raphael and more of the Civil War, and I think probably what is most important about that, which is what is going on with Castiel, what is he thinking, and when he gives him that look that says, if we really need a nap and I don't have time to take one, and it's really wrong for me, like, what exactly does he mean by that? So we will find out what exactly he means by that.
Excellent. Jim, do you miss Crowley and all your romantic times?
42 years in this business, and on my tombstone it's going to say he kissed Crowley.
And that's it.
I've had better. Not recently, but...
Both. I do miss Old Sam. I really, really enjoy playing Old Sam. And if y'all disagree,
totally chilling, exactly. We love what you do with it, by the way.
Well, great to work with. But I've not been shy about the fact that I like to play a little bit darker, a little bit disturbed. I've had a wonderful time with Sam, and he's disturbed enough. But I did have a fun time kind of playing with, I guess, with the writers have been playing with, what is a soul, where is it reside, what's on your personality and your decisions. So I had a great time. I'm happy to be back, but I do miss the book.
And I have to read this question just because it's the best phrasing ever. You know, we talked a little bit about this backstage, but for the fans, Jensen, do you think that Dean is finally getting back to his usual self now that Sam is all soul careberry?
Mr. Careberry.
Yes, I do, and it was kind of a relief for me because for the first half of the season, it was difficult, you know, to build a relationship with not only the actor but with the character for 5 years, and then to have that relationship severed, but then still have to work with that person was very difficult for me as an actor too. I mean, and it's a testament to what Jared was doing, and that he was doing great as so was Sam, but he wasn't playing a character that I'm used to working with. So it was really, I struggled with it. In fact, I called down and talked to these guys about it. I'm like, I'm kind of feeling way out of my comfort zone here. I don't know what's going on. I just didn't have those tools to use anymore that I had for the past 5 years. So I was very relieved when I read that episode when he was getting sold. Then I could go back and play Dean the way that I wanted to play Dean. It was difficult, but you know, it was a good storyline. So.
Speaking of Dean, this is, I think, the question I got the most. What's up with the amulet? Is that ever coming back? Yeah? We're talking about it?
Eric?
I mean, currently we have plans to return. But actually, the contract negotiations with the amulet. Once $3 million episodes. That amulet is a diva. So we ended up as FO right now. It's actually doing the guest shot on Montreal. We'll see how that goes. We wish it well.
You know, you guys are so open about the show, the process of making it. Is there anything you wish you could go back and do over, or would you know, let it all stand as is? This is for the whole thing?
Do it over?
I'll start because I feel very strongly about it. My mother actually used to say, food is never as good when you cook it. And that's sort of how, all I actually see are things that I wish we had done differently. It's very rare that I'm able to watch a complete episode and be like, there are a handful of them, but it's rare when I'm able to watch one start to finish and be like, wow, we really nailed it. I mean, I would say there's moments in every episode, and I've been, if anyone, follows sort of any of the interviews I've given on Supernatural, it's like we almost recite the episodes that I hate. Red Scatter Morning, Bugs, Route 666, and
It's like, what are you doing?
Exactly what when I'm a father, I'm going to be like, kids, now listen. To answer your question, it's not as good when you cook it.
But I go all the way back to just a week ago, or just this past week. Bob Singer was like, hey, I was watching, happened to be watching TNT this morning, and the pilot was on. I was like, oh God, that scene where they walked to the pub, and for the writing of it. I mean, I'm talking about the writing. I mean, the guys are always nailing it in performance. I mean, really and truly, it's like there are scenes where you just didn't have time. And for instance, just to bring that back, I just thought about it just the other day. Like the pilot where they walk to King Paula and Sam and Dean are talking, and they're talking about nothing that two human beings would ever talk about. They're just setting up a franchise of the show. Well, when Dad raised us to be hunters ever since we were I know. And then he always had us fighting after the creature that took the on. Raised us properly. And I was going down and be like, I know. What are you talking about? I know all this information. At least on the writing side, we're all and look at it 6 years later, and you can tell I'm not over it.
Anyway, it's nice to know that the expositional scenes aren't that hard to write because they are equally as hard to act.
Humphrey Bogart used to say that in those scenes, even when he had them, he said he always wished they would just put camels humping in the background. It's not verbatim, but that's real quick. Then the audience will at least have something to look at. The exposition scenes are brutal.
But I do have to applaud you in the fact that you started giving those to guest stars. After the first season. So that's nice.
Anyone else want to take that one on? Something a do-over?
After camels humping?
I have one. So in the first episode that Castiel shows up in, he's trying to communicate with Dean, and in so doing, his voice, his angelic voice, is exploding television sets and breaking windows. And so I, consummate guest star that I am, thought, I'm going to do this for every kick-ass kind of window blanking voice. And I may be running into medical problems. It's been brutal. So yeah, regret. Somehow Castiel has a tank of helium with him. He just talks like I do normally. I think we should talk in some way to justify it.
French mistake.
I remember when we filmed that scene too, and he came in, and this was the first time I worked with him, and he went into this voice, this spiel, and after the first take, I turned to our camera department, and I just went, what is it?
And I was like, hey, how's the new guy? He's like, really nice. He's what the hell is our trailers. And he's like, there he is. We kind of looked, we both sort of did like,
There's three.
Misha has a very pensive look about it, which is relaxing. So I was like, yeah, he's thinking or something.
And or on the toilet. But I will say that his consistency in that character has been
His saving grace.
It's really well. Nice job.
So in the future, you'll be doing that voice a few octaves up.
Every character we doing it.
So just in terms of things that have happened in the show, has there ever been something that is, for you as actors or writers, is just perceived way differently than you intended? I mean, just things that you just thought, oh, I thought this would be the message people would get, and they got a completely different one, and you've been taken out in that fashion.
Judson. No. That would be a writing question.
This year, there was a very strange Fight the Fairies trending. When Jensen yells, "Fight the Fairies," suddenly, I'm not sure exactly how that functions, but it became a Twitter trend. Yes, Twitter!
I never
did
remember
not
reading that.
intend. I mean, like, that created a kind of a counterweight of I think, legitimate gay community going, well, what the hell happened? And I think that was quite interesting. What is that? Yeah. Some of our best friends are fairies.
We'll take some fan questions, but if I could, wait for a mic to come to you. Raise your hand if you have a question. Wait for a mic to come to you. This song, right here, second row.
That was canned laughter.
Hi guys.
Hi.
My question is, since the season finale this year is going to be 2 hours consecutive, has that impacted how you've written the show and perhaps how it's going to be filmed?
The season finale is going to be 2 hours ago.
I think when we, Sarah and I are writing the 2 episodes, and I think in the beginning stages there was like some discussion of like we should make this like a movie, to be a movie, and 2 hours to be a movie. Jesse, it's gonna be great. Shut up. I had cigars in my hot tub. Shades. But I think these stories kind of take on a life of their own, and there's so many, as I think you guys are well aware, there's so many mythology balls in the air right now. There's so many things that we need to wrap up that we ended up it ended up feeling like very episodic actually, because in 21 there's so many mythology threads we need to tie up, and then in 22 there's so many other mythology threads. So it was hard to kind of actually combine them. So I actually think, to the extent where frankly I'm worried about it, actually, that I think they play, because somewhere in the middle of writing it, I was like, oh man, shit, it's going to air right after that one. And like, do we put a card that says like 1 week later? How do we, because it doesn't feel like a seamless, it feels like 2 episodes that each have their own story.
Yeah.
So it'll be awesome in rewrites.